Hello, everyone. Welcome back to This Week in College Football. It has been a long time. It's June. We're going to try something new this episode. We got some stuff up on the screen. Sonny, you're back. How are you?
John, it has been too long, man. It is so good to be back. I am excited for football. I'm excited to be doing this again. I'm already looking forward to September, but what a good time this is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to September too. Unfortunately, I'm not loving the state of the game right now. The state of college football it's been in better places.
Unfortunately, at this point, it's kind of hard to disagree with that statement.
So I'm sure everyone at this point who's listening to this, if you don't live under a rock, you've heard about the Brendan Sorsby stuff with Texas Tech and the NCAA. I just want to say what a load of horseshit this is that he's allowed to play.
Mm. Again, another statement that's very hard to disagree with, but I would like to hear your take as to why. I mean, aside from the obvious of why, do you have any other reasons for this?
Well, I want to clear up some of the confusion because I see people saying it was a local judge that cleared Sorsby to play. It wasn't. It was a judge from Houston, almost like 400 miles away from Texas Tech.
Wasn't he
That
a Texas Tech graduate though?
no, he's a Houston graduate.
Okay.
Yeah, so he has no ties to Texas Tech really. But I still think it's a load of nonsense. And I saw Cody Campbell, the big oil donor for Texas Tech, he was saying that he's trying to fix the sport and do everything he can, but he's also helping Sorsby pay for this like fight against the NCAA. This kid should not be allowed to play. I don't blame other schools for saying they're not going to play Texas Tech, but I'm sure you saw my thoughts that Georgia saying it. I think right idea, wrong messenger.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I draw the line with the teams refusing to play Texas Tech. That's just a little bit childish and outrageous to me. You know, for the longest of times, I've been a huge Texas Tech defender, right?
Mhm.
I like them. I enjoy watching them. Going back to the Mike Leach days, they've always been one of my favorite teams, and it's hard to defend the university in this situation. Like, obviously, they didn't know what they were signing up for when Sorsby transferred in. So I'll give them a pass on that. It's not like they knew. But the way they've handled it since then is wrong. And the same people who want Sorsby to play and, he should be on the field, he this also condemn Pete Rose. And I've seen a lot of those comparisons on Twitter too. And it's like you can't have one or the other. He bet on his team, whether it was to win or lose, it doesn't matter. He should not be playing another down of college football again. If he wants to enter the supplemental draft, so be it. I don't know if I can see any teams taking a chance on him. He's certainly got the talent to warrant a pick, but with all the baggage that comes with it
Mhm.
now, I just don't know how you can justify that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go into the NFL supplemental draft, I think a team would take him. But just because the NFL, there's that saying that if Hannibal Lecter had a ran a 4.4, they'd say he had an eating disorder.
Yeah,
So I think an NFL team could find a way to talk themselves into Brendan Sorsby. But
I
in
do.
college, there's just no reason for it.
No, and then you're going to have people who say, and rightfully so, the NCAA promotes sports betting. And in a way, they do. Like in New York State, you're not allowed to bet on player props. But you see ads for DraftKings during college football games. You see ads
Hmm.
for FanDuel and all of that. And somebody will say, well, there's analysts out there like the Bear, Chris Felica, who does his own segments on when he was on College Game Day. I don't watch Big Noon Saturday a ton, so I don't know if he does them there or not. But I know
Hmm.
Stanford Steve does now also. Of, oh, take this guy, take that guy. Guess what? I don't care. They can do that. If someone like Kirk Herbstreit wants to go and bet on Ohio State to win a game, and I'm using that as an example because that's his alma mater,
Hmm.
go for it. I don't care. He can't put on the pads and affect the outcome of that game. Sorsby can. You're telling me that he's had what was it, $46,000 in gambles? Is that correct?
I think it was 90,000.
Oh, good lord! So the number's gone up even since the last time I've seen it. So you're
Yeah.
telling me that in order to recover some of that money, he wouldn't put the over on himself throwing 1.5 interceptions, and he just so happens to throw 2 picks against Oklahoma State? Like, come on now. Like, he should not be allowed to play.
No, not at all. And like, how as a teammate do you trust him, right? I mean, sure, according to everything we've seen, he's never bet on his own, never bet on a game he's played in. All
He
right.
bet on Indiana when he was there.
Yeah, but he didn't play in any of those games.
It
That's
doesn't
what
matter.
I know, but
It doesn't
he was
matter.
the third string. He didn't play in any of those games. I will say where it gets a little iffy. They said one time he did bet on the under in his team's passing yards. That's kind of like where it starts to get a little funny.
Exactly. And so what if he's not on the field? You're telling me he's not going to go up to his coach and like, oh, coach, watch the linebacker. This is a good opportunity to run. And if the coach is worth anything, he's going to say, well, no, this isn't. But as a quarterback who's on the field, especially at that point, as a third string guy, like he's probably seeing a lot of reps with the practice squad or the whatever you call it in college. But he's got the ear of coaches if he's on the team to some degree.
I'll share this before maybe we move on from Sorsby or move off it a little bit. I had a friend who played D1 college football, right? I'm not going to say the school because then obviously you'll know who I'm talking about. He texted us the one day and said it was a Friday night before they played Army. He said all of our linebackers have been out drinking. It was like 2 in the morning. He texted us. He said they're going to run all over us tomorrow. So we all bet on Army's over. They scored like 60 points and had 600 yards rushing. He was not lying.
Yep, there you go. There's something to be said about the knowledge of, I don't want to say insider knowledge, but you know where I'm trying to go with that. And
Yeah,
the
like
one
like
thing that and the one thing that really bothers me and really aggravates me is now these schools are refusing to play Texas Tech. Like the SEC is going to step up and say we're not playing them in any sport. Which, okay, you know what? Like when NIL wasn't a thing and you had these schools going and illegally paying players, that was all right. But now that it's a level playing field, and if you want to argue it's not a level playing field, I'll accept that, I guess, because Texas Tech and the oil donors and everything, like Tech brings in a huge amount of NIL. Their softball program next year, I don't know how closely you follow that. They're going to go on an unbelievable run because they're just going to destroy the transfer portal this year. So now you already have teams saying we're not going to play them in this sport, we're not going to play them in that sport. To me, I think that's a cop out. Why are you not going to play them just because they're a little more privileged than you? That's a little rich for a program like Georgia, who's been more privileged than a lot of programs for the last 15 years, or
you,
Alabama, or Ohio State, don't you think?
you know what bothers me about Georgia being the ones to say it? I looked. They have not played Indiana in football in 30 years. The last time they've played Indiana, I mean, next time they played Texas Tech. Last time they played Texas Tech in any sport was 2020 in women's basketball. So, like, you're making this statement that you're not going to schedule them. You barely schedule them anyway. So, like, what is the big deal?
Exactly, because, and I know SEC fans are going to hate this, and Chandler, shout out, I know you're going to be pissed when I say this. That's because SEC teams like Georgia, unless they're playing Georgia Tech, which is a rivalry game that's locked in, like
Mm-hmm.
SEC teams generally have piss running down their leg when they schedule another Power 5 conference opponent. They don't do it that much. They choose to play Chattanooga in the last week of the season, or they choose to play VMI for some reason. But
Yeah.
instead, maybe go after some of these big dogs. You know what's really going to shut Texas Tech up? If you go on the field and whip their ass. You know what's not
Mm-hmm.
going to shut them up? Not playing them, because then they're going to say, well, they won't play us because they're scared. And guess what? You come off looking scared.
Yeah, and I'll say the one thing that bothers me about Alabama, I saw people saying Alabama should say it. Brother, last year in the NCAA tournament, Alabama had a player under investigation for murder get an injunction to continue playing March Madness games.
Yeah, but he didn't bet on the over under, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah,
See, and that's just it. That's why that is why part of this is so frustrating, because you have players in, of course that's an extreme situation. But again, to go back to Georgia, how many guys are getting in trouble for speeding?
yeah.
Doesn't have an impact on the game, but you got guys in trouble. So like you can't say, "Oh, this guy did something illegal, he shouldn't play," but ignore our guys doing something illegal.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I know it's nitpicking. Like I said, I said the same things you're saying right now about Georgia and Alabama yesterday on Twitter. People are not happy. I don't think Sorsby should be eligible. There's no way he should be eligible. But the programs that big deal have their own problems.
No, I agree with you 100%. Sorsby should not be eligible. He shouldn't play another down of college football. And realistically, I don't know if I'm an NFL team if I trust him with anything. I wouldn't want him around. However, to quote the great Macho Man Randy Savage, you may not like it, but accept it. He's going to be playing this year. He's going to be missing games against, I believe it's Abilene Christian and Oregon State. Those are going to be cake games for Texas Tech. Sorry to say to those other programs. Those are going to be easy games. So you can either whine and cry about it and say, oh, we're going to boycott the game, which, by the way, to the Big 12, if you do decide to boycott those games, that's a forfeit, which means it's a win for Texas Tech, which means they go into the playoff. Did you really prove anything?
Yeah, no, you definitely you didn't. You're only hurting yourself. Like I said, I saw that they said one. I'm pretty sure it was Kenny Dillingham, by the way. He said that he hopes Sorsby's eligible all season because he wants to beat the Joker with his arm, or something like that.
And that's the exact kind of attitude that every coach or team should have. If Texas Tech is on your schedule or there's a chance of you playing them come December or January, that's the attitude you should have.
Yeah, no, you definitely should. I think it's awesome that he said that, by the way. I'm not sure it was Dillingham because it said anonymous Big 12 coach, but I could just hear him saying that.
You know that I would look also to the other side of Arizona.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could totally see that coming from Brent Brennan.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Think about it this way: Brent Brennan is a Rick Neuheisel clone. That's a Rick Neuheisel comment. By the way, Rick Neuheisel got fired from UCLA
The March
for being in a
Madness.
March Madness bracket. He
March
was
Madness
in a
bracket.
bracket in a sport he doesn't even coach, and he lost his job. Just to show you how far we've come in the last, how long ago was that? 15 years? Got fired for being in a March Madness bracket, yet Brendan Sorsby can bet on his own team to win or lose or do whatever. It doesn't matter. He's placing the bet,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 games, and you're totally fine.
Yeah, look at this one. Ex-Iowa captain career ended over a $10 Caitlin Clark bet. He got suspended the entire season, couldn't play at Iowa because he self-reported a $10 bet on Caitlin Clark. A women's basketball bet as a football player. And he was ineligible the entire season. One $10 bet.
See, it's all or nothing, and you either allow every bet to happen or you allow 0 bets to happen. And until this gets figured out, unfortunately, this is going to get nothing but worse.
Yeah. And this is the best way. Kirk Ferentz called the suspension silly. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I would agree.
I know I saw this too, that the judge said that like Sorsby has to continue going to the rehab for his gambling, but also I believe because of the wording they can't bench him for more than 2 games now because it says he'll do irreparable injury to his career.
How?
It's
That's
crazy. He
what
did
I
this to
don't
himself.
understand.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like before you move on, everyone says like, oh, why is Texas Tech moving on, brother? They're paying Brendan Sorsby $5 million this year. If you think they're not going to defend their $5 million investment, like they're not getting that money back.
Exactly. Texas Tech is in a position, and again, it's an even playing field now, even if it's not. Texas Tech is in a position where they can go out and they can buy any player they want. They've done it in football, they're doing it in basketball, they're going to do it in softball. Who knows what's coming next? Next year's transfer portal, if Texas Tech has another first round playoff exit this year, and that's assuming they make the playoff this year, because I think they do. But if they don't, or if they have another embarrassing first round loss, what is that portal number, that NIL number, going to look like next season for Texas Tech?
Yeah, they're gonna have unlimited money. Unlimited money.
Exactly. And this is a situation that's been going on in college football for years, but the difference is now we know about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing too. The NIL issue. I mean, let's talk about. We want to talk about the NCAA versus court thing. One more thing I wanted to say. Everyone's mad that Texas Tech got an injunction from a judge for a player to play. A lot of people from the South. 3 SEC schools in the last 3 months have taken the NCAA to court, by the way, for player eligibility. Trinidad Chambliss was one. I think Florida did it too. I think this happens all over. The NCAA says no, you can't do that, and these schools run to a local judge, and the judge says, "Oh yeah, sure, you could do that."
Did you see the court set the date for the Sorsby trial?
Hmm.
2 weeks after the national championship game.
Yep.
That's convenient.
By the way, this judge, like I said, he's a Houston alum, not really from Texas Tech. I will say, I saw, and I verified it myself. He's been retired for 10 years. This is his first case he's done in 10 years.
That's a hell of a unretirement tour right there.
Yeah. It seems like someone, I'm not saying he dropped the bag, but someone might have paid off this judge.
Again, that oil money is rich.
Yeah. All right, moving on from Sorsby. I bet you guys will like this one. We have to talk about our California head coaches. So, Sonny, I saw you said you were excited to talk about this yesterday. So let's do it. If you were starting a program today and you had to start with one of these California coaches, who are you choosing? Taj Lupoy, Tavita Pritchard, Lincoln Riley, or Bob Chesney?
So, to me, this is an easy answer, but I want to clarify first. Am I buying stock in the coach or the coach at that school?
You're starting like a fresh program. So like you're getting them like right now, but to coach your program like from the start.
Okay, see, that kind of changes things for me then.
Okay.
I think right now I would go Bob Chesney.
Really?
He is a little more proven, um, a little more experience. If I'm starting a program from scratch, I feel like you kind of need that. And while Lincoln Riley, I feel, would be a good option because, again, proven recruiter and everything.
Hmm.
You also, whether you want to admit it or not, there's a ceiling with Lincoln Riley. If he didn't win that year, Baker Mayfield took Georgia to the limit. Lincoln Riley's never going to win a national championship. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Bold.
I don't think that's bold.
I think it's bold.
I don't think that's bold at all. Lincoln Riley is never going to win a national championship.
Okay.
Sorry. And he's certainly not going to do it at USC. Maybe if he gets the Lane Kiffin payday somewhere else, if he wants to try his luck at SEC ball, maybe. But he's not going to win a national championship at USC. But not to take the shine off what we're talking about, I would go Bob Chesney. However, if we're talking school specific,
Hmm.
I think you were the one that I was blowing up your phone when Stanford announced that they had signed Tavita Pritchard.
Hmm.
He was a excellent quarterback. He's a good recruiter. He has NFL coaching experience. I think that is an absolute slam dunk for a guy who also knows the West Coast. That, to me, I just buried Stanford last year at the beginning of the
Oh
year.
yeah, buried.
And they were better than I thought they would be, which I thought they were going to go 0-12, so it really wasn't that hard to accomplish. But I think Stanford right now is in a significantly better place than they were a year ago. And of course, that's not saying much because of the situation they were in a year ago.
Hmm.
But I think Pritchard is the guy at the job. But if I'm starting from scratch, it's got to be Chesney.
All right, we have differing answers here. Very interesting. I think you're onto something. I think Riley does have a ceiling. However, if we're a program that's just starting, I think we take Lincoln Riley to get to that ceiling.
It's hard to disagree with that thought process.
I think if you get to a playoff loss or something like that as a program that started, you're pretty happy. And I've seen Lincoln get there before. I know we'll probably have a Heisman winner at some point. And if we're talking about program specific, I think I'd have to go Chesney or Lupoy. They're killing it so far. They haven't coached the game yet, so it's hard to really say. But I'm really excited for what these two have been doing with their programs.
That's my issue with Lupoy. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think they're going to be a solid team on defense. My number one concern with him, and again, this is team specific, is I feel like they just hired a younger Justin Wilcox. Like, I feel like he's going to bring a lot of the same stuff to the program. And not to say that's bad, but he's going to bring a solid defense. Maybe not great, but they're going to be solid, dependable.
Mm-hmm.
But what is he going to do on offense? Where does that lie? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, We'll see this year because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And for those people who are in the know, we get to see these two go up against each other in week one. Cal versus UCLA. That game will be electric.
Man, that should be a Pac-12 game. That should be 10:30 on ESPN2.
I'm saying people who aren't in the know aren't going to watch that game. That is going to be an electric football game for these state programs.
Yeah, and I feel like that there's enough of a good storyline there to follow, just because it is former Pac-12 rivals going at it. But again, the debut of two new coaches, one who would start off his career with a bang, with a win in his first ever game against a team like UCLA, who wasn't great last year. But Bob
Mhm.
Chesney took his team last year to the college football playoff. And then for Chesney to show UCLA fans, hey, I was the right guy for this job. Because if UCLA loses to Cal week one, that's going to put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And no matter how it goes, you know the response of UCLA fans, if they lose, is going to be, see, we should have kept Neuheisel. Jerry Neuheisel, that is.
Yeah, I can't believe him and Chip Kelly are together right now. That's at Northwestern of all places.
That is just wild to me.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much sidetracked here, but I think for me it'd be between Lincoln and Chesney. You said you'd be between Pritchard and Chesney.
Where do you fall on Pritchard as a coach, just in general? Where do you like his
I
fit with
think
Stanford? How you think he's going to do? Where are you with that?
I'm going to use James Franklin's favorite word here. Alignment between these two is what's going to be. Because, yes, Pritchard will be running it on game day, but him and Andrew Luck are very close together. I think the program having aligned goals will do a lot of well for Stanford.
I agree. And again, having a guy like Andrew Luck there is a really good representative of Stanford. A recent graduate, shows what it can be, knows what it takes to win at Stanford, because Stanford is a really, really tough place to win. They have such high academic standards.
Hmm.
Like it takes a special athlete slash person to end up there. And Pritchard, having, of course, been quarterback at Stanford, knows it. He's been a coach there for a few years, but having that NFL coaching experience as well, I think, is going to play a good part into it.
Yeah, he was in, I thought he was Washington, I think, right? Maybe Washington? I think it was the Commanders.
Yeah, because he was with Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, so he can clearly coach quarterbacks. And, year one, again, one thing I want to say before, not to go back to these two again, but they both have decent, good. Well, I think Luke Boy has a top five quarterback in the country as his quarterback, and Chesney has a pretty solid quarterback in Nico Malava.
He has a quarterback that can be, being Chesney. He has a quarterback that can be solid. However, he also showed flashes of just god awful quarterback play. I think, even the most hardcore UCLA fan has to admit, Iamaleava regressed significantly from his time at UCLA, or from his time at Tennessee to his time at UCLA. And I don't know if it was the talent level at UCLA that was so much, or what the issue was first year in a new system, whatever you want to blame. But Iamaleava did not meet expectations last year at all.
Hmm. I mean, I'll tell you, the one game I watched of UCLA in full was that Penn State game, and he looked pretty dang good. So maybe that was an outlier, but if they can get that out of him every game, he could be a problem.
Yeah, but look at the state of Penn State.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they're kind of in
especially
the mud.
especially at that point. Like that game was just a disaster for them. The season was a disaster for them. A top 5 team that ended up firing their coach because they did so poorly.
Hmm.
Like it's yeah, it was a great game by Iamaleava. But against a team like that, it's hard to get too excited because, let's be honest, Penn State was an average team last year. Maybe
Yeah, they
even
were.
below average, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of team a quarterback like Iamaleava, who has all the talent in the world. There's no denying that. Whether you hate him from his time at Tennessee, whether you're indifferent on him, he's got the talent, he's got the ability. That's the kind of team he should be lighting up. That's why I don't put a ton of stock into that game, because that's what he should look like.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Um, yeah, so I'm excited to see these two face off, and I think that the state of California football right now is in a very good spot with these four guys.
I would agree with that.
So moving on, we're going to talk about. You want to talk about staying on the West Coast, kind of, because things are a little wacky now. The state of the Pac-12.
Yeah, the state of the Pac 12, which kind of bleeds into another crazy topic slash idea I had we'll get into a little later. But the Pac 12 this year, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to bring back the Pac 12 after dark kind of feel that we had a few years ago. What are your thoughts on the new Pac 12?
It has potential. That's what I'll say. Because Boise State, okay, they've recently been a playoff team. I mean, sure, they had a Ashton Genty, which they don't have right now, but they've recently been a playoff team. San Diego State and Fresno have been ranked, and I really like what's going down in San Marcos with Texas State.
Texas State, I think, is a wild card within all of this. We've kind of seen a little bit of Pac 12 action within the Mountain West when most of those teams were there. And even Oregon State and UCR, Oregon State and Washington State, they were playing kind of a backdoor Mountain West schedule, right?
Hmm.
Now with Texas State within there, who I think is going to be really good. GJ Kinney, their head coach, I think is one of the top up and coming coaching prospects within college football. I could see him
Agreed.
at a I could see him at a major Texas program within the next 3 to 4 years. They're going to be a wild card within this, and I'm not sure if they're going to be a contender this year in the Pac-12, but
Hmm.
they're definitely going to make some noise.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is people look at this, and I'm sure if you're not from out here, you're not really a sicko, you don't understand that these teams have talent. I mean, Texas State has Bo Sparks, who I had as one of my top 10 receivers in the country on their team. So, this team is solid. I mean, if you look, I'm sure you can see it here. Yeah, Bo Sparks, he had 1,200 yards last year, 10 touchdowns, 84 receptions. That's incredible. Those are NFL numbers.
Yeah, and then like even you look at a team like Fresno State, who didn't live up to expectations last year, but has had their moments where they've been really good, really exciting team.
Yeah, if we go back to Fresno, they have talent as well. This is EJ Warner. I watched him play a game last year, and he's so electric with his legs as well.
Yeah, Warner's back. He's definitely going to be a threat for them this year.
Mhm.
The Mountain West, I think, is going to suffer a little bit from their losses, but they bring in two interesting teams, that being North Dakota State and Northern Illinois is now in the Mountain West, which is a little bit weird for me. But I feel like the Pac 12, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up, and this
Mhm.
is one of the things that will kind of bleed into the next thing I wanted to do, which is I feel like the Pac 12 also didn't maximize the talent that they could have gotten within this move. Meaning, I feel like there's a few teams that they could have gotten who I think would have jumped at the opportunity to go, and they didn't, or they didn't reach out, or some form of that. And two of them that I really think should have been there, who I didn't include in what we're going to do next, but two of them I thought should have been included were San Jose State, bringing the San Francisco kind of market to Bay Area market to
Mhm.
the conference, as well as Hawaii. I feel like Hawaii brings something so unique to any conference they're going to be in. Their TV deal is a little bit sketchy, where it's on like Spectrum pay per view in Hawaii only, where you have to hope for a road game. But I feel like those were two of the teams that they could have brought in to strengthen the conference just a little bit more, from a Mountain West perspective.
Yeah, Hawaii would have been really fun for this conference. And after this, I think you should lead into your next topic on what you, and I'll feed off that. But Hawaii, I watched a few of their games last year at like 10, 11 p.m. I had to watch them on like a sketchy YouTube stream where like the audio was awful. It's crazy.
Hawaii football is a lot of fun. A lot of fun with Timmy Chang back at head coach, and they're back to the run and shoot offense. Like,
Hmm.
they're fun to watch. They might not win 10 games, but like, you're going to watch a Hawaii football game and you're going to be entertained.
Yeah, I mean, their quarterback, Micah Alado, I think his name, Alajo, he is so good. I love watching that kid. He got hurt last season, but before he was hurt, he was a real difference maker for Hawaii.
I believe he was on pace to be like top 10 in passing yards last year before he got hurt as well.
Yeah, he was electric. Their receiver, I think he went to the NFL, was also really good. But so they have to try to replace him. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But yeah, they're a really good team. They should have been added.
Which brings us to in the course of thinking of this, I was also thinking of strengthening other conferences. In the idea of if conferences could trade teams, what would that look like? Who would benefit? How do we make one conference stronger? How could it benefit both teams involved or multiple teams involved? So, John, I want to pass this over to you for a minute here. Do you have any conference trades that you would have liked to have seen? And now I want to preface this by saying we're not doing anything outrageous here, right? Like I'm not going to trade Alabama to Division Two for Grand Valley State. We're not doing anything crazy like that. It has to make at least some degree of sense. So, John, what do you think?
All right, I'm glad you've asked, Sonny. I'm taking New Mexico State, right? New Mexico State, and I'm taking Sacramento State, who just moved up, and I believe they belong in the Pac-12.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the regional fit. I want to get back to making college football regional again. That's part of the problem, where I feel like some of these conferences just don't make any sense, and it really bothers me. Like this conference right here, Conference USA. What in God's green earth is New Mexico State doing in this conference?
Oh, Conference USA is just wildly all over the map, but it also lives up to its name. It's Conference of the USA. It's
It's true. It's true.
wildly everywhere. Just like I think the ACC, and not to get off on a side tangent here, the ACC name is fine, but rename it. It is now the All Coast Conference.
Yeah. I had one for the ACC too, but I'm not sure how you'd feel about it because you said Group of Five. So I didn't know whether to include it or not, but I might run it by you here.
I have two Power Four trades, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we're doing Power Forward or only Group of Five. Maybe I misread your text. Um, but JMU, they're too good for this conference already. I'm sorry to say it. Take them out of the Sun Belt and put them in the ACC.
So then, who would you send to the Sun Belt instead? Because you have to do that, unless you just went
Oh.
straight like call ups,
Okay.
which is fine as well. You can do that as well.
Well, the first two I did call ups because they were going to the Pac-12, which is like a new conference that's no one to really send. To send down from the ACC, I think I'd send Wake down, to be honest.
I'm not sure how Wake Forest fans would feel about that.
Probably not great.
No, something tells me they wouldn't be happy with that.
All right, what conference are you starting with here?
So since we're in the ACC, I'll start in the ACC,
All right.
and I will make maybe the most obvious trade that should happen, both for geological fit, which I played a part in this as well as just rivalries, conference. Overall, it'd be a lot better. We're going to send West Virginia to the ACC.
Okay.
In return, back to the Big 12 is SMU. Does this not make all the sense in the world? Like, is this not the first trade you would make within college football?
I like it because we're trading them, but I feel like a three conference trade would work here.
I do have a three conference trade a little later, but what are you thinking to make it a little better?
I think SMU goes to the Big 12,
Yep, that's what I have.
and then wait, what?
I had SMU going to the Big 12 for
Oh,
West
for West
Virginia.
Virginia. Oh, okay. Then yeah, no, yeah, that's what I don't know why I didn't think you did.
I may have misspoke there. It's totally possible.
No, I think I misheard you. Sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I thought there would be three teams get them in the Big 12.
If you put SMU in the Big 12, now you got their rivalry back with all the Texas teams. You move
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia to the ACC. Now they got their rivalry back with Pitt. The backyard brawl is back permanently. Their rivalry with Syracuse is back. It's just a better fit overall. I feel like that would be a great place for West Virginia. And I feel like, in a way, it would kind of benefit both programs as well.
Yeah. I had. I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't think I'm gonna do it. This conference is also a mess, in my opinion. By the way, the American is just. Like I said, I'm glad it has its name of the American because it's all over the place as well.
Yeah, the American, who I've recently discovered, if you still refer to them as the AAC, they will get very angry with you.
Really?
Yeah, apparently you're not allowed to say that anymore. It is the American Conference. It is no longer the American Athletic Conference. It's now just the American.
Rutgers won the American Athletic Conference in 2014. I just thought you should know that.
Is that the last time they've done anything successfully?
We stuffed Mario Cristobal in a locker in a bowl game one time, but other than that, yeah,
Yeah, everybody gets lucky every now and then.
yeah, agreed. Do you have any other trades? Because I can't really think of too many right now.
I have one more for the ACC that would make
Okay,
sense.
all right, let's hear it.
It's an actually, as I read this, I now realize it's another ACC Big 12 trade. So maybe we'll just make this a little 6-team trade.
All right,
We're going to send Cincinnati and UCF to the ACC as well in
okay,
exchange for Cal and Stanford.
that makes a
Again,
lot of sense.
again, regional rivalries. This kind of makes things a little easier for travel on a lot of people. I feel like that would make a lot of sense. And again, Cal and Stanford seem to travel well together. They want to be partners, whether it's business partners or rivals or whatever you want to refer to it as.
Yeah, I think that's the part that college football is really missing, and why all the NLI stuff, whatever it is, what it is. It's never going to go back to how it was. The monkey's out of the bag, monkey's out of the hat. But the regionality of these conferences and the rivalries that are getting destroyed in it is really, I think, too much is changing too fast.
I totally agree with that.
Like if it feels like every year it's something new, it is so hard to follow the sport. I'm gonna be honest. I write about college football every day. I live and breathe it. And there's days where I can't remember. You know, I gotta go like, wow, what conference is that team in now?
Yeah, and that just shows the wild, crazy changes that the sport's overgone in the last few years.
Yeah, it's a mess. It is an absolute mess right now.
So I got two more for you here. One of them is a group of 5 trade that I think, again, keeping regional makes a
Mhm,
lot of sense. We're going to take Temple and Army from the American, not
mhm.
the AAC, the American.
Yep, got it. The American.
And we're going to trade them to the MAC.
Okay.
In return to the AAC, doing that on purpose, goes 2 of the heavy hitters within the MAC, Toledo and Ohio.
Oh,
A nice step up in competition for 2 of the most consistent programs that the MAC has, while also staying somewhat regional, right? Because the
mhm.
American, as we said, is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's a mess.
The only thing that I can see being not good about this is we're now separating Army and Navy, which, given the fact that they play in the same conference and their game isn't a conference game, I
Doesn't
don't
really matter.
really think that matters too much. But that
Yep.
might be the only hangup. But I think that's a fair deal.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I saw a call up while you were just talking there that I think would make a lot of sense. It might be short sighted though because they've had a lot of success recently. But I think you take UNLV and add them to the new Pac-12, and that's a strong conference.
I feel like that's a little bit of recency bias because UNLV prior to the last few years hasn't really been all that good.
That's true. It's definitely recency bias. Because of what is Dan Mullen being there.
Totally. And we'll see what happens this year now.
Yeah, they're going to be good. But I like the trade you just had with Ohio and um. Oh, I'm gonna start that over
Toledo.
again.
Toledo.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna start that over again. I'll
Okay.
cut that. Yeah, I like the trade you had with Ohio and Toledo right there. I think that one makes a ton of sense. And like you said, Army and Navy, it's not even a conference game. So what is the difference if they're in a conference or not together?
It seems like they always just travel together. I don't know. Maybe it's because I always connect the two. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah. You know,
And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I think I was trying to look for the SEC and the Big Ten, but there's so many teams in it already. I mean, like, as a Rutgers fan, I do wish we can go somewhere easier. I mean, what if you added us to the American?
See, Rutgers is a team that I was trying to get into the American, and it has nothing to do with the quality or lack thereof of the product on the field. I just don't feel Rutgers is a Big Ten team. And that's not an insult to them because I feel the same way about Maryland. In my head, Maryland is forever going to be an ACC Big East team. Just like I'm sure to the old school college football fans who have been around for many, many years, Penn State is always going to be better suited as an independent. Of course, it's been, what, 33 years now that they've been in the Big Ten? but there's still a lot of Penn State diehards, especially the older generation. And we have quite a few of those in the Buffalo area where I live that believe Penn State should still be independent, still be taking the route Notre Dame does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Penn State could probably function as they have a lot of money, but I don't think they would ever leave the Big Ten now. I mean, obviously, there's always the people who think Notre Dame should be in a conference, but once again, they're never going to join one. So,
No, Notre Dame should never join a conference, just like Penn State would be out of their mind to leave the Big Ten right now.
they would be.
And then for the last one I have here, all right, let's get a little bit crazy.
Let's hear it.
So we are going to send 3 schools to the FCS.
Whoa!
I'm sorry, but it's got to happen. And it'll be worth it in the long run.
Can I guess one before you start?
Go ahead.
Is it Arkansas?
No.
Okay.
I just said we can't send an SEC school down.
Yeah, but I was really hoping it'd be Arkansas. All right. Anyway, continue.
It's not Arkansas. As a matter of fact, it's out west.
It's so not Afghanistan. Okay.
So, oh my God, dude. So we're going to take New Mexico, Nevada, and UTEP.
Oh, whoa.
I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from the 4 UTEP fans on Twitter. I know. I'm sorry, but your program's not that good. They really haven't been for a while. And if it makes you feel any better, if I could have found a good trade, UMass would have been right there with you. Okay? I'm sorry. You have a better... And again, sending you to the FCS is not an insult. Look at the success Idaho has had at that level since dropping down. Would you not argue, I know they're not in the FBS anymore. I know they're not getting the same payday. They would have been in the weaker Mountain West still. But are you going to seriously sit there and tell me that Idaho is not in a significantly better situation as a football program because they moved down?
No, they definitely are. They're way more stable.
Exactly. And now we can do that to 3 programs who have been okay to mediocre for the last few years. Okay?
All right.
So to do that, we need new teams in the Mountain West. So from the Pac-12, Colorado State, Utah State, and San Diego State.
Okay.
I feel like they are not quite the quality of the Pac-12. Sorry to those schools. Not yet, at least. I don't think they're the quality yet.
Okay.
And we're going to bring 3 teams up from the FCS to go to the Pac-12.
Now, this is what I'm interested in. I'm curious to see where you go with this.
Anybody who has been following me or listening to me or reading my stuff for the last 5-10 years already knows where I'm going with this. It's Montana, Montana State, and South Dakota State. Now that North Dakota State is in the FBS, there is no reason those schools who have been the class of the FCS for many years now, there's no reason that they should not be up here also. Look at the powers that have moved up and the success they've had for the most part, right? Even going back to App State. App State was a power. They come up, they immediately start doing well. James Madison, a recent call-up. Look, they just made the playoff. Mm-hmm. Even last year, not to go back to another one of the teams that I'm kind of favored towards, but look at Delaware. Delaware had a pretty damn good first year. So there's a precedent in a history, and I'm sure I'm missing others as well. Western Kentucky was another one that had a really smooth transition. Coastal Carolina, another one that had a really smooth transition. Did they come in and play for the national championship year 1? No. But they've also come in and not made a complete embarrassment out of themselves. I feel like those 3 schools would take the path of the schools that I've mentioned that have moved up more than a school like UMass, who has just come up and they're doing whatever it is they're doing. Like, I don't think UMass takes football seriously. I'm sorry. They're in the FBS.
No, they don't.
They're in the FBS right now to pay for their other sports. And that's not a problem. Because guess what? Sorry, UConn. UConn football is too. UConn does not give a crap about football.
No,
but the basketball program, that better be well funded. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's where the bread and butter is. That's where UConn's money is.
Hmm.
But those three schools, if you give them the opportunity to move up, they would benefit. The Pac-12 would benefit. Even New Mexico, Nevada, UTEP. Send them down to a division where they can compete regularly. They can cut down on costs. It's a win for everybody.
Yeah, it really bothers me when people talk about conference realignment and they say like, "Oh, this FCS team can't compete in the FBS." Brother, there's 30 teams in the FBS that have no chance of winning a championship every year. So I don't get why that's the argument a lot of the time. There's one. I'm a fan of one. It's a Power Five school, zero chance at winning a Natty every year.
Who, Rutgers?
Yeah, it won't
Yeah,
happen.
that's. But there's more than that. Like, let's not let the recency of Vanderbilt football being good distract you from the fact that they're probably never going to win one. Minnesota was one of the OG powers when the AP poll first came out. They're probably not going to win another national championship in our lifetime, right?
No,
2 years ago I would have said the exact same thing about Indiana though. So who knows in this day and age? But it's not like you're right. People say, "Oh, this team they can't come up and compete," and yeah, there's certain ones that can't, right? Like Mercyhurst is probably not going to come up to the FBS and win even 3 or 4 games. Sorry, you're just not there yet. But if you can take an elite team like the three I mentioned, they got a damn good chance of doing some damage.
you know.
You're
Now that you're
telling
just
me
talking
you
about that,
wouldn't. You're telling me you wouldn't absolutely love to see or pay to see. Uh, now I can't even think. South Dakota State on the blue against Boise.
no,
What
I
a
definitely
fun
would.
game that would be.
One that you just had me thinking of. I really wish. Now this is gonna sound crazy because I'm not really the biggest FCS guy. I follow loosely, but I would love just location bias for me, and I know they're pretty decent. Monmouth to the American.
They're one of the teams that I don't think would be worth it to really call up.
Not yet. But I think in terms of competitiveness, I think they would not be the worst team in this conference. I'm just gonna say that.
I would. I think I would agree with that.
Yeah, so like I think they could compete, but like you said, money wise, it would not make sense for them probably. But they would not be the worst team in this conference.
That's just it. That's another thing you have to factor in is the money aspect of it. And until North Dakota State jumped up, that was kind of the primary argument why none of the Dakota schools would go or the Montana schools would go because they're kind of out on an island. And I remember there was debate going back, it had to have been pre COVID, where if those schools moved up, what made sense? Would it be the Mountain West? Could it be the MAC? Right? Which I don't think they fit there. I
Hmm.
remember even going back many years, can they go to the Western Athletic Conference? A conference that barely exists anymore. I think they're only around in like basketball and other random sports. So this is a conversation that's been had for a while.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because this is going to become more and more. It feels like every few years now, realignment is like hanging in the balance.
It is, and as the money expands and TV deals happen, like we haven't seen the last of it.
No,
Like there's no way. I don't think we're going to see a team like Florida State or North Carolina remain in the ACC. I'm sorry. I think they're bound for the SEC.
I don't think Florida State's going to the SEC.
I think they will.
I don't think they will.
Why not?
They just have no money. They're like what $500 million in debt or something like that. Their athletic program, like they could not. If they go to the SEC, they're going to be the worst team in the SEC every year. I think in football or bottom five teams.
Or does a move to the SEC make the donors wake up and now all of a sudden you have a resurgence within Florida State? Because again, Florida State is a team where the only sport that really matters is football. The basketball program's really not getting any of that money, men's or women's.
True, true. It could be a you're right. You can go either way where they could do it as a way to make the money and save their program. Not save their program. It's never going to go broke, but like you get what I'm saying.
The state of Florida State University, forget athletics, although athletics is a big part of the whole. It's not good right now down there, like
No,
at
it's really
all.
bad.
The finances, whether it be athletics or the educational side, it's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal at all. Um, all right, I think we should wrap up here, and maybe we'll do this again next week. Maybe the same day.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I do want to just throw out there real quick to the college football fans, if you are interested in college football preview magazines, it is officially college football preview magazine season, and it wouldn't be that without me mentioning Phil Steele's college football preview. To me, the best college football preview out there. It is going to be in stores, I believe, July 4th this year. Might be out a little early, but if you're a college football diehard, a sicko as people call them, this is the book for you.
Yeah, it's a great magazine. And Sonny, thank you for coming on for this episode, and we'll be back on next week. Uh, Wait, why is it not ending? Oh, there we go.